Alrighty. Microphone's working? Good. Is it? Hold on. Looks like my microphone settings are all broken again. God damn it. Probably one a little higher. Perfect. That's a lot better. Still not great, but whatever. My microphone's been really weird recently. Anyways, hey guys, we're back for another great week of GBM stuff. So, we'll take a look at our new event here with the Psycho Zaku and our normal rotation through everything. As we get closer to Christmas, I stress again, make sure you hold on to your Haro chips just in case something really cool comes along. Last thing you want to do is use everything and get jebaited for a New Year's suit or something. God knows that'd happen. Anyways, let's get going. This is weird. I've done 3 weeks in a row. I haven't done this in a while. Alright. I literally just bought this kit. Nice. Nice. It's the way things work, right? Alright, so we'll take a look at our event suit, the Psycho Zaku, starting from the head. Oh boy. Reuse P device. Neat awakening. Raise your speed by 20%, shot attack by 39%, and burn your capacity by 25%. Now, this is extremely thematic for the suit. Like, this is... yeah. The burn your capacity and the speed boost, if you've seen the Psycho Zaku, makes sense. The shot attack boost, also very nice. As far as welfares go, 39% is really, really good. So I have zero complaints about this. For a welfare, that's a really powerful awakening. Statistically, we're looking at about 3,900 or so shot attack. Again, as far as welfares go, that's extremely high. So that's really good to see. And then for tags, we have Xant and High Firepower. The latter being an extremely good tertiary tag available for both melee and shot builds. Also accessible on, I don't even know how many parts, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So you won't have any issue with that. Xant, probably not the best idea for this suit. Obviously, thematically, it makes sense. It's a Xant suit, but considering it's a primary shot machine more so than a melee machine, having a melee booster is a little weird. Moon Gundam got altered. Fear the... oh, nice. Yeah, the backpack EX skill is going to be spooky. They nerfed the Vernier capacity from 75% that was on the standard. Yeah, the standard is gacha, though, and this is welfare. There's, unfortunately, a world of difference. It's a 3-star versus 4-star scenario. Alright, let's take a look at our torso. When buffed, squad cooldown, minus 15%. Buffs are extremely easy to get. Yeah, so this is effectively a freebie. The squad cooldown, 15%, is really, really nice. This means that you can put this onto secondary suits, because some content allows you to run 3 suits at once. You just take this torso, slap it on a couple of your other suits, 30% CDR right there, as long as you have a buff out. We do have better traits available for this, but for welfares, this is solid. Very solid. Statistically, about, oh, wow, 1,700 or so shot attack, kind of in that range. Damn, son. As far as torsos go, that's really high. Typically, we see about 1,000, 1,200, kind of in that range in the post-power creep department. Seeing it go past that, like even past 1,500 all the way up, yeah, that's really good. Statistically, so far, I'm a big fan of this suit. Xant, High Firepower, again, workable tertiaries. Alright, let's look at the arms. Alright. While Xant, initial squad charge, plus 18%. So, Xant, as I mentioned before, not the best tag for this suit, just because it's primarily shot-centric. Xeon as a word tag is melee centric, so you're kind of not playing ball here with all the tags, but the initial charge, quite powerful, so you could figure out a way to work that in. I don't have any real complaints about that trait, frankly. That's the torso and the arms, very good to put on like secondary suits for CDR stuff. All right, statistically, okay. So for shot, we're looking at about 1,800 or so shot attack, kind of in that ballpark range, which for welfare, that's amazing statistically. And melee, okay, not too bad, 34 change, 35-ish, around there. All right, you know, not bad. It is definitely still excelling in the shot department, though. Xeon. Okay, so we got rid of high firepower and brought in high mobility. This is another melee-centric word tag, more so than a shot-centric. The shot defense boost is nice, but with carryover, typically, like you're looking at like 1.6% or something like that, total carryover. Honestly, not really. You'd want shot attack more than shot defense, or, you know, in a perfect world, both. For melee, though, it's okay. The trait's really good, though, no matter what. Legs. Defender job, enemy EX skill damage plus 25%. So what this means is if your pilot is defender job license, then the enemy takes 25% more skill damage. Don't know why they haven't done anything about this translation, but here we are. The problem with the defender job, obviously, is that you don't get any offensive bonuses to it if you make your primary job license mid-shooter, long-shooter, in-fighter, or outfighter. You do get a percentage boost directly to your offensive stats. Defender boosts your armor. So you're already losing a bunch of damage just from that alone. The 25% enemy EX skill damage boost is not bad. As far as welfares go, that's definitely in the like really high tier buffs that we see on them, but I don't know if the defender job activation is really does any justice. Xeon high mobility tags, okay, workables, and statistically about 1,700 or so, kind of in there. As far as legs go, that's, again, really amazing statistically. Remember, legs and backpack tend to have the lowest defensive to stat distribution among all the primary frame parts. So, seeing this up into that number bracket, nice. It is really rare to run defender. You're alright, Jen. Very, very right. Alright, and backpack. Bump of the Living Dead. A- power, D pierce, cutscene bindable. Recover 38%. Squad recovers 38%, mind. And raise shot attack of your squad by 29%. So, from what I can see, this is reading off like a gimped version of the original backpack's Bump of the Living Dead. It's okay. Yeah, the heal is good, 38%. Obviously not the best. You know, we go up to, I think, 59% is the typical, kind of in there. So, 38% though. All right, acceptable. And then the shot attack 29%, as it is a bindable with A- power. I was hoping this would be a little higher, like 39%, but when you couple it with the heal, it does kind of need to be a reduced buff, otherwise it'd be too good. As far as welfares go, very good EX skill. Xeon high mobility tags, workables, and pretty much the same stat distribution that we saw on the legs. Alright, and last up is the Giant Bazooka. 21% chance of attacks penetrating super armor, so that's effectively a 1 in 5 chance of your attacks on impact, causing the enemy to stagger. It's not bad. I just don't think that super armor pen is really ideal. You only need it for very, very few actual fights in the entire game. And it relies, if you're doing like PvP content, it relies on the enemy running super armor, like chance to not recoil traits. most people just stack damage on damage on damage on damage, so not sure how useful this will actually be at the end of the day. It's also a bazooka. I don't like bazookas. 4,000 shot attack out of the box. That puts this in definitely like top 1% of welfare weapons. Nice. Overall, the Psycho Zaku packs a crazy amount of shot attack on it. It's got a healthy amount of shot defense as well. The EX skills overall, the Awakening and the Backpack, you know, they're not bad for a welfare. Actually, like they're solid. Trait-wise, the torso and the arms have some really, really good squad boosting traits. Beyond that, meh, you know, it's okay. You know, it's alright. Yeah. Decent suit overall, though. Alright. Let's take a look at our pilot. I believe it's Troa. Honestly, this coming as a welfare is really, really good since the standard version gets alters next event, so the link's going to be awesome for both. There you go, look at you. Big brain, playing weeks ahead of the game. So we have the Double X and the Epion Endless Waltz version. Both of them are alternate traits, it looks like. Cool. Anyways, let's take a look at our good old Troa and go from there. Long Shooter Job License. Okay. Good start. Before 40 seconds pass, enemy all damage plus 35%. So for the first 40 seconds of battle, a 35% damage boost from everything is what the enemy's eating. That's really nice. That is really nice. Ace exclusive Gundam type. Ace exclusive being one of the two primary tags for Shot Machine, so that alone, 10 out of 10. Gundam type, workable tertiary. You can use it as a third in shot builds, activates a lot of traits. Powerful tag. Statistically, I'm not expecting too much, and good. We're looking at about 2950 or so in there. And I guess melee, I should bring that up too, because it's actually significant. We're looking at about 2500. As far as shot 4-star pilots go, this man sits definitely in that top bracket outside of the build project stuff. But as far as gacha pilots go, really, really nice. His trait is really powerful. I'm hoping he gets, like most pilots, I'm hoping he gets a alteration that actually does something. But that one trait's really good. Cool. A not bad 4-star pilot. It's been a while. This week seems to be just the week of good things. Okay. So, let's go pop on over to the Twitter. I wonder if they've uploaded the videos yet. Be nice if they did. Did they? They did. Cool. Give me a second here. That. Cool. Alright, let's take a look-see at good old Epion. Okay. I'm going to open this for later. And I think this is going to be our other guy. Yeah, okay. Let's see what we get here. A Vulcan. Lovely. The satisfying beam cannon. Okay. I kind of know what we're working with here. Did we get any more of these? Oh, yeah, we did. Oh, boy, did we ever. That's what? Shenlong, Atlas, Moon, and Swords. That's 6 altars. Ugh. Oh, boy. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our 2 new gacha suits, and then we'll pop on over to the permanent pool. Okay. We'll start with the Double X, as it's the first one in the list, and I feel like going that direction today. For anyone that hasn't seen me talk about alterations before, very simply put, I actually forgot the normal speech that I do for these. Anyways, I'm just going to be looking at the traits. I'm going to be looking at the word tags. I'm going to be ignoring the stats. These are 7-star suits. Safe to assume, just head and shoulders above everything else that's currently available, because 7 stars are manually tuned. Also helps it's a 1/100. Beyond that, the part trait / EX skill always gets an upgrade, and yeah, that's why I'm looking at them. Word tags never change though, but as I don't look at them in the gacha, I'll look at them here. Yeah, don't expect me to look at the stats though. I'm never going to look at the stats until they start backporting old suits to 7-star. Then I'll consider it, because then we'll have a good baseline of comparison. But with just new suits always being 7-star, nah, gee, nah. Anyways, let's take a look at the Double X head. When attacking with beam, enemy all damage plus 40%. Okay, there's tons of beam in this game. Weapons, EX skills, the whole 9 yards, all damage plus 40%. Is going to be very powerful as well, because that works for obviously melee and shot content. So, no complaints on that. Very powerful. When shot attack is over 15,000, enemy EX skill damage plus 40%. Now, see, this is actually a very, very nice set of traits. So, first, attacking with beam. Shot and melee both have access to beam, whether it be in their neutrals, whether it be in their EX skills, they have access to it. So that first trait works for everybody. Also, shot attack over 15,000. Once you get to a certain point in this game, you're going to accidentally get 15,000 shot attack, and you're not going to be able to do much about it. Your primary stat's going to be way up there, but 15k shot attack is just always going to be a thing. So you're pretty much at a certain point always going to have both of these traits active as long as you're using beam stuff to attack. With that in mind, you're getting a 40% all damage boost. You're also getting enemy EX skill damage plus 40%. Keep in mind that's a bonus to you, so the enemy is taking 40% more EX skill damage. The way that the battle formula to our understanding works, we have enemy EX, or I should say EX skill damage plus or boosted 40%. That's one type of damage boost. And then the second one is this, enemy EX skill damage plus 40%. They both do the same thing, they're just slotted in different places in the battle formula. Meaning, the more that you have split between them, the better, versus stacking them all onto one of them. You can obviously do that, but if you're looking to min-max, you want to have kind of even number of both types of boosts to maximize your battle formula output. But again, that's also like the best we can do because we don't have a battle formula to actually look at. So, GBM life. Very powerful set of traits on the head, though. Nice. Works for both melee and shot. High firepower, ace exclusive. Nice. Again, high firepower works for melee, works for shot, activates a ton of traits across the board, extremely accessible. Nice. Ace exclusive, definitely suited more towards shot machines than melee machines, but it is the secondary word tag on here, meaning it will be replaced as we go through the suit. So, nice. Very flexible part, very powerful boosts. Nice. Alright, torso. Chest launcher, 15 mag, B plus power. Fire the Vulcan in your chest at foes straight ahead. Okay, and it should be you, if I remember correctly. Yeah, okay. So we'll leave that playing in the background while I go over this. Let me see if I can get that, the magazine skill, though. Let's see, that... there's the Vulcan. Okay, so one thing I do want to point out here when it's shooting, okay? So, you see that right bullet, how far that is straying out to the side? So, What I'm seeing looking at this is it doesn't have a tight condensed spray. It's very like coverage oriented. Two downsides to this. One, distance, big issue. The further you are away, these deviations are going to be crazy. Two, these bullets look like the kind that don't actually travel very far before dissipating. Because a lot of attacks in this game, as you may have noticed playing it, is they go a certain distance and despawn. These bullets seem like the kind that you would normally see on a head Vulcan, where they travel, a set distance, not too far, and then dissipate, gone. I'm looking at this, and even though it has B+ power, even though it has a 15 magazine, the fact that you have to get so close up to your enemy with a physical shot skill, and the fact that it has such a deviating spray, I don't think it really works out. We have tons of other skills in the game that you can fire with a magazine at a great distance. Some of them have homing as well. This seems like, yeah, you get a bigger magazine, but at the end of the day, is it really still a shot skill? On paper, not bad. In practice, doesn't seem to be that good. High firepower Gundam type word tags. Yep, Ace exclusive out the window. We got Gundam type. Gundam type, a very powerful tertiary, much like high firepower. Activates a ton of traits across the board. Cool. Is this the highest amount of rounds in a mag? Yes. 15 should be the highest. I think the next highest is standardized 11. Maybe 12 on something. But 15, I've never seen it at that number or higher to my recollection. Gundam Double X Arms. When melee attack is over 15,000, enemy all damage plus 40%. Much like I was talking about before, how once you get to a certain point, you're always going to have over 15k shot attack. Much the same here for melee attack. This is effectively a free trait, and that's all damage plus 40%. Amazing. With rifle category equipped, initial EX skill charge boosted by 30%. Rifles are a dime a dozen in this game. They range from extremely weak and flimsy to unbelievably powerful, and I think some of them arguably top tier weapons. So no issues with that. And the initial EX skill charge boost of 30% is a solid number. Nice. Cool. High firepower and Ace exclusive came back for this one. Cool. Let's get that playing while I'm doing this. Alright, legs. Dual saber combo. Alright, and I actually believe that's exactly what we just saw there. Yes, it is. So, get up close and personal. You do a couple of swings, attacks. Alright, honestly, this is going to be a mileage may vary kind of thing. But based on how close the player got before using it, this seems to be just an open engage, easy to whiff, easy for the enemy to dodge out of. Once you catch them in it, though, they are going to be kind of hit a lot. But it looks like where you initially hit them is also a big deal, because this animation where you go swing forward, do your little dash back, and you dash forward to do the rest of the combo. If any of that opener is like whiffed up, then this last little bit is going to do nothing. And because of how many hits are in that area, like right here alone, right? Look at that. We got what? 1, 2, is that 2 or 3? 24, 26, 26. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So that's like half of the hits are literally in that back part. 1, 2. Oh no. 2 out of 6 is in that front. It's all backloaded. If you whiff that first part, you're missing like what? 60% of your damage? Nah, that's going to be a no for me, dog. Even though on paper it looks great, A+ Pierce, B+ Power. Whiff potential's really high on that. Nah, G. I don't like these melee EX skills. They can look really nice and, be iconic, but it's so easy to whiff. High firepower, heavy armor. Okay. Heavy armor is a workable tertiary, not as common as things like high firepower, Gundam type, Ace exclusive. It is available though, and it is a shot tertiary. However, you'd probably prefer high firepower because it does kind of activate more traits, a lot more traits, and much more accessible on good parts versus heavy armor. Okay. Backpack. Now, I can't remember. Maybe you guys can jog my memory. Is the double X the one where the backpack you time stop during this? Because it looks like it's time stop. That enemy's not moving. But is this the one where you time stop for this entire part of the cutscene? Or... yeah, the Gundam X was the one where when you're charging up, you can be interrupted and knocked out of it. The double X is where it stops time to do the animation, so the enemy can't knock you out of it, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyways, honestly, this is one of my more... what's the word? This is one of the EX skills I appreciate a lot, because I've always been a fan of just gigantic fuck-off laser beams and weapons in general. And it doesn't get much bigger than this. You get that beam from the moon, even though you probably can't see the moon on this map, and you just unleash the beast. And it's just a giant laser beam, and it mows down everything in front of you. No real complaints on the EX skill coverage. It'll fuck shit up, to put it ever so bluntly. S-Power, D-Pierce, melee attack boost of 29%, shot attack boost of 49%. The only downside here is that the buff gets applied after you do everything. It doesn't get applied before. If it was applied before, this would be really, really, really nice. But as it is, it doesn't give you that 49% shot attack boost until everything is wrapped up and finished. It's still good, but it could have been better. Yeah, bog standard, big slapper. Honestly, I think it just looks dope. As far as it compares to like other limited suits and their their cutscene skills and S-Power skills, it's okay. Yeah. I want to roll for at least one part, but next week is Christmas event. I don't know, actually. I don't know if they've actually announced when their Christmas stuff starts. But considering, looking at a calendar here, that next week is the last week before Christmas in terms of updates, there is a very, very, very safe bet that sometime between now and 2 weeks from now, we are going to see new content. We're going to, well, obviously, some kind of Christmas suit. So I would be stingy. If you are patient, you can definitely wait, because remember, these suits are going to be here for a while. You can actually wait until you see what comes next week before even worrying about rolling for these. Okay. Anyways, double X backpack, powerful. Not the best that we've seen from limited suits, but damn good. High firepower, ace exclusive. Alright, cool combo. Let's take a look at the weapons now. The twin beam sword. When melee defense is over 15k, squad all power plus 35%. So melee defense is a little more difficult to increase than something like melee attack. 15k is a much higher threshold. You will still hit it once you get to a certain point in the game. And the benefit you get, the all power boost of 35% for your squad, is amazing. Remember, when you're playing your primary suit, you got your 8 slots, right? But if you think about it, when you go to stages where you can have 2 buddies, that's 16 more slots. For skills like this, where it's boosting your squad's power, that is 16 more boosts you can get onto your primary suit without changing your primary suit parts. It's a big brain strategy. 35% all power is a great buff too, because that works for everything, obviously. All power. While ace exclusive, all enemies, all damage plus 40%. So this is definitely something you would want to run on a shot suit, obviously. While ace exclusive, primarily for shot machines, all the enemies are taking 40% more damage. And if your defense is your melee defense is over 15k, your squad gets an all power boost of a 35% extra. The way that this works in the battle formula is really good, because you are increasing all power by 35%, and then using that secondary modifier I talked about earlier to give another 40% bonus damage to all the enemies. Powerful. It's actually a really good set of traits. High firepower, ace exclusive, nice beam sword. Hyper beam sword, outfighter job, enemy shooting damage plus 50%. Now, see, that's a little weird. Outfighter obviously focuses more on the melee aspect of things, boosting the shooting damage they take, although 50% is a very, very powerful boost. The Outfighter job kind of kneecaps it. Not sure how to feel. Cooldown time up 15%. So for all you CDR people that are running, negative CDR times, this is going to add 15% back into the mix. You got a little more min-maxing to do. Enemy shooting damage plus 50%. Honestly, I think that first trait kind of just kneecaps the entire part in general. The fact you have to run an outfighter job to get 50% shooting damage bonus on the enemy, and that's not shared among all your teammates. Keep in mind that these kind of traits only affect the suit that this is equipped onto. So with this, if you have suit A and suit B has this part on and is outfighter, suit A will not be doing that 50% extra shooting damage, only suit B will. Just the way it works. So kind of limited there. The second one, you're kind of nuking your CDR, but you're getting 50% extra bonus. For people that have extremely streamlined CDR builds, this is negligible. Cool beans, run it. But I think that first trait kind of, again, kneecaps the whole thing. High firepower, heavy armor. Okay. Let's take a look at the G-Hammer. That's not much of a hammer, but what do I know, right? While high firepower, all power boosted by 40%. Now, as I've mentioned before, all power is a very, very nice trait to have, as it boosts melee, boosts shot, works for everything. High firepower really builds into that, as high firepower can work on both melee and shot. So that first trait, very, very symbiotic. I love it. Weapon reload speed down 10%, enemy all damage plus 40%. So what this means, weapon reload speed. This, I'm going to assume, is only referring to the ranged weapon, as you can't have a cooldown on a melee weapon, because EX skills are separated from that, mind you. So, weapon reload speed down 10%. So if you have a beam rifle and you're glacking shots at them, it's when it stops to reload. That's what this is going to be affecting. 10% boost. I'll tell you right now, that's beyond negligible. Typically, these weapons can reload anywhere between 2 to 5 seconds or so, kind of in that range. So at the absolute worst, you're getting a 0.5 second increase. The trade-off, the enemy takes 40% more damage from any damage source from you. Couple that with the high firepower for another all-power boost by 40%. Also remember, these are both different ways to boost the same thing. Fits really well into that battle formula. This is a very, very powerful set of traits. My only complaint, it's not a 50% boost. What can you do? High firepower Gundam type. Alright, workables. Workable. And DX Buster Rifle. Offense up. Yamma. Raise melee and shot attack your squad by 49%. It's printed on the tin. 49% powerful boost, but do keep in mind, we do have a lot of awakenings that'll do this, as well as grant extra bonuses, and we also have EX skills that'll do the same thing, while also giving more bonuses as well. So if you're looking for just a quick pocket boost for something, maybe on one of your support suits or something, okay. Outside of that, though, high firepower ace exclusive. All right. And the shield defense plate. Now, I remember somebody mentioning something about the shield. That was Alex. When C power is over 400,000, not hard to do. Also, do keep in mind, C power doesn't really reflect the overall performance of your suit, because it doesn't take into account a lot of factors, like how the how the traits work together and pan out. So C power ain't the be all end all. With that in mind, with over 400 KC power, enemy EX skill penetration reduced by 100%, and when shot defense is over 15k, enemy EX skill pen is reduced by a further 80%. So penetration in this game, pen, also known as pierce, is how much of the enemy's damage is going to ignore your defensive values and your resistance values. Now, Alex is correct when he says this is a very interesting part, as I think this is the highest concentration of penetration reduction we've actually seen on a part before, and I think just in general. With that in mind, we don't know exactly how this works into the damage formula. We don't understand exactly what penetration does in terms of its values. Keep in mind, when we see a value assigned to pierce, D pierce, or B plus pierce, or double S minus pierce, we don't know what that actually refers to. What percentage does that equate to? How much are we actually already base ignoring? Do these letters equate to a numerical value and we're just further boosting that with these numbers? You know what? We don't know. Again, the best we can do is test and make a guesstimate, kind of a ballpark. This is what we think it does. With that in mind, 180 EX skill penetration reduction. If I were to make a good old spitball guess, my assumption would be on this. This is the equivalent of reducing a skill, I would guess, from like A plus probably down to D in terms of pierce. This is significant, but only if the enemy is running pierce skills. Keep in mind, right now, the most run stuff that people use for Arena and other, have extremely high power values that are then further augmented by more EX skill power boosts, damage boosts, all these other things. People typically don't invest a bunch into EX skill penetration or pierce heavy skills. With that in mind, I don't know how effective this would actually be as a part, purely because it just doesn't mesh against what people are running right now. On paper, in theory, this is an excessively powerful part, almost 200% pen reduction. That is crazy, but it only works if the enemy runs high pierce to begin with. And because people right now find it much more effective to take a good old bludgeon and beat you over the head with it versus pierce, I don't see how this is going to be terribly effective currently. It's a very interesting part. I love these traits. I just don't see how these pan out very well in the way the game's currently played. Hopefully that enlightens you. High firepower, ace exclusive tags. Okay, cool. Overall, that's like a really neat suit. EX skills, okay. Traits, yeah. Tags, workable. Overall, decent suit. Nothing jaw-dropping, nothing like, oh, this is a must-get or anything like that, but solid, honestly. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at the good old Epion. Alright, let's go take a look at a true classic, yeah? The truest of true classics. We'll start at the top as always. Hold on, let me just increase the size of this really quick. I don't want to keep straining my eyes. Perfect. Okay. So, Gundam Epion head. While Transformer, enemy melee damage plus 50%. Transformer, available on a ton of parts, activates a lot of really good traits, this one included. 50% melee damage boost. Yeah, that's really good. That's the highest modifier I think we have for melee damage, so good stuff. When buffed, buff EX skill effect up 40%. Just keep in mind the way that this game works when they're using buffing skills, it's a flat addition. For example, previous part we looked at, it increased your shot attack by 49%. This would just add a flat 40 onto that, 89%. That's the way these buff EX skill effects work. That's how debuff effect works as well. Keep that in mind. So with this, 40% boost to your buff, Very, very powerful, of course, depending on what the buff actually does. While Transformer melee damage bonus, good. Overall, okay. I'm not the biggest fan of that second trait. I don't think we need our buffs to be buffed further than they already are. And when you think about it, right, just hear me out on this. For example, we have while Transformer melee damage plus 50%. Imagine if that second trait was melee damage plus 50% as well. And then the EX skill you're going to use increased your melee attack by 39%. Cool, 40% plus 39% is still less than 50 plus 50. Food for thought. This isn't inherently bad. I'm just saying, you know, with the abundance we have of really high tier bonuses and buffs, High mobility transformer, functional tags for sure, powerful tertiaries. Alright, torso, zero system. Raise your speed by 20%, melee attack by 59%, and melee cooldowns instantly reduced by 38%. Now, this is the torso, is it not? Let's see what the animation is on this. Okay. Very straightforward, just does its due. This is really like that dead dove don't open. But I looked inside the bag and I didn't really know what I expected. Anyways, yeah. Alright. The numbers look good. The melee cooldown reduction is nice. Now keep in mind, something to keep in mind. Typically, when we have these melee or shot skill cooldown reduction by whatever percents, they're typically bound into a cutscene / bindable EX skill. With that in mind, they typically have a rather long runtime, anywhere from 10 to 12 seconds to offset the reduction that it gives in the other bonuses. This has a total animation time of mere seconds at most, like 2 or 3 seconds, and you're back in control. You get the fat melee boost of 59%, which I think is the highest modifier we have for awakening buffs. This matches, I believe, GX? GP? GP Ryzen? Anyways, 59%, highest we got. Speed, 20%, whatever, off the table, don't even care about that. But the melee skill cooldown boost as well. Simply put, this is a much more streamlined variant of having one of those other EX skills that is a bindable that also does this much quicker, right? Streamlined. And it will allow you to instantly open with another skill, perhaps another bindable EX skill that does damage, perhaps more cooldowns, but you have that 59% melee attack bonus going into it. Overall, I actually really like this. It's a different approach to the cooldown thing versus having a bindable skill with a ridiculously long runtime, like you're watching a movie waiting for your skills. Nice. I'm actually a big fan of that awakening. Very nice package. Starting to see these big skills that we were all like, oh, this is so cool because it reduces the cooldowns and stuff. They're kind of making it more accessible, kind of narrowing down that delay time. For better or for worse, God only knows, but cool. All right, arms. The Epion Claw. A plus pierce, B plus power, execute a rush attack, raise your melee attack by 39%. This is arms. I want to see the animation on this, because this sounds kind of... Okay, yeah, so that's the spin dash, okay. Honestly, there's a lot of what-ifs with this. I don't know the range on this. I don't know if there's any homing involved. On paper, this looks very, very powerful. You do get the buff after the attack, by the by. Anyways, this looks... Actually, let me double check that. I want to make sure that you don't get that buff as you're initiating the dash. No, you get it after. Okay, so, with that in mind. On paper, looks really good, but if the dash is short range, or if the dash doesn't have homing, or combination of both, that removes a lot of the viability of the skill just right off the table like that. But if it has a longer distance, if it has even slight homing involved, pretty good. Kind of boils down to that. Hey, Kuroshine. Yeah, it has been, hasn't it? Alright, cool. Honestly, very interesting EX skill. I'm hoping that it does have a little bit of homing in there. Legs. Max output beam sword. We've seen this before. We've seen this on a few suits now, where it's just like a very short animation. You do a swing, and it has like a long distance effect on it. We've seen more flashy variants of this from certain suits where they have like a full cutscene involved with a weapon, you know, coming out, pulling down, whatever. But it's this skill here where you just swing, and you get that area of effect in front of you, does a bunch of damage. S power, D pierce, very low cooldown cycle for this, and you get the melee attacker squad boosted by 29%. Overall, very simple, to the point, good for single target nuking. Beyond that, yeah, it's not bad. It's what it comes down to. The S power helps it a lot. If that was like A power, A plus power, but S power, that's pretty good. So it's pretty good considering animation time and everything. However, much like most melee skills, it is easy to whiff. It does have a very short effective range. You do have to get your spacing correct on it. Overall, though, not bad. All right, backpack. While high firepower, enemy melee power reduced by 90%. That's a kick in the pants. Shot attack down 30%, enemy melee damage plus 40%. So if you're running with this part, you want to run a melee centric suit, right? Because the shot attack down 30% is a huge number. That means you are doing 30% less shot damage out. So you want to be running a shot machine or a melee machine for this, absolutely. With that in mind, the enemy melee power is reduced by 90%. That is significant. Keep in mind, though, this is just the base value. This doesn't include any other bonuses the enemy may have. If they have a melee power boosted by 40%, melee power boosted 45%, whatever, right? That goes up to 95. This reduces 90 of that. They only get the 5% boost. This doesn't do a final damage calculation, so this isn't like, oh, they have, X amount of melee attack, and we're chopping 95% or 90% of that off. This is their final value. Unfortunately, not how it works. If it did, these reduction skills would be absolutely bonkers broken. So keep that in mind when fielding this trait. However, high firepower, very easy to get your hands on. Available for both shot and melee, as I mentioned before. And the melee damage boost of 40% for trading your shot attack works really great on melee machines, obviously, because you don't care about shot attack for those. Okay. Decent setup. Not a massive fan of the first trait, but I can't call it bad. 90% is significant. All right. Let's take a look at the Epion Beam Sword. Infighter Job, initial EX skill charge boosted by 30%. Infighter, super accessible. The skill charge boost, really good. Infighter Job, enemy melee damage plus 40%. So as long as you're running Infighter, both these traits are going to be active. You get a 40% melee damage boost and a 30% initial EX skill charge boost. Very good combination between those. No real complaints here. Cool beans. All right, let's take a look at the Heat Rod. Weapon reload speed down 30%. We've already talked about what that is. Enemy melee damage plus 50%. Significant. While Transformer, all enemy, all damage plus 45%. Okay. Now, obviously, this is going to benefit melee suits way more than shot suits because of that first trait. And with Transformer as well. But it makes sense. Epion is kind of more of a melee suit overall. Very powerful traits, though. The weapon reload speed down and the Transformer tag, both very willing trade-offs for a melee suit, and you're getting the 50% melee damage and the 45% all damage. Nice. What do you think the holiday banners are going to look like this year, or is this as good as it gets? Honestly, anything goes. We could just see another wall of power creep. Like, honestly, like, anything could happen. That's the way this game's been. It could just be a bunch of reprints. Could be a bunch of new suits. They could turn around and go, hey guys, we've added a new mode where it's multi-mission except a player controls the boss too. And it's okay. We don't know. They're kind of tight-lipped about a lot of this stuff. I don't even have any good guesses as to what the suits would be. If I were to ballpark something, I don't know Witch of Mercury, because that's still airing. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to shill it harder. But who knows? Heat Rod, good. All right, and the shield. The skill's called Heat Rod. Neat. All right, Pierce D, Power A-. What are our buffs here? Enemy melee and shot attack down 19%, melee and shot defense down 19%. So effectively 20% down melee and shot attack and defense. Okay. A- power, D pierce, very short cooldown. On paper, it's okay. The attack and defense down by 20% is interesting, but I'd still prefer just like a 39% offensive boost, a double S- power skill, something like that. Let's see the animation on it too. It's the shield, right? Yeah. This is the one that's really bad. Yeah, so this is the one that has the very close range animation, a bunch of swings to it. As it's not a bindable skill, this seems to be something that you can be knocked out of. Because of how close you have to be to your enemy, it seems to be relatively easy to whiff if the enemy dashes back at just the right time. It doesn't seem to have any really good gap closers, so if you destroy one enemy that's really close to you, you're really not going to be able to get up to another one to keep it going. Just things to consider with this. I'd say it's okay. Well, the Epion's interesting, that's for sure. Good EX skills, good traits. I don't know why, but the double X stuck out a lot more. Like, I finished that double X, and I remembered every part in detail. I'm looking at the Epion, I'm like, I vaguely remember some of its stuff being like, okay. For what that's worth. Alright. Now for the fun. So we'll take a look at the Shenlong, and we'll work our way up the tree. Now with these, I'm not even going to look at the word tags. I'm just going to look at the part trait / EX skill. Keep in mind, these next few suits are going to be all available through 4-star exchange or 3-star modifications for some of them. So don't expect these to be anywhere near the same level of buffs and quality as the previous suits, because those were limited Sokai gacha stuff. These not so much. Setting expectations is important. Alright, head-mounted Vulcan, gone. Moving on to the Shenlong torso. Self-destruct. Yeah, 90% damage to max armor, A+ power, D pierce. You can kill yourself with that. Just heads up. Dragon Fang, A+ pierce, B+ power, melee attack and melee defense boosted by 19% each. It's okay. Not, like, terribly amazing or anything. Legs. Infighter Jump, EX skill cooldown reduced by 20%. Okay. With power attribute, EX skill power boosted by 35. This is a very nice symbiotic style set of traits. As long as your suit is power and you're using an Infighter pilot, both of those are very easy to accomplish. You're getting a 20% EX skill cooldown reduction and a 35% EX skill power boost. Cool. Lower cooldowns, more damage. Good trade-offs. My only gripe here is the power attribute, as that locks you into using a power attributed suit. Surprise, who could have thought? But that does mean that this is a less flexible thing. You can't use this to, well, you could, I guess, overpower something in the speed category, but a little bit more of an uphill fight there. Honestly, not bad for what this is. Don't know if it's worth the investment. Backpack. Crimson Stinger, D pierce, A power, raise your melee defense by 19%. Okay. As far as 4-star suits go, that's not even that great. Before 15 seconds pass, job gauge increase boosted by 17%. I don't like the job gauge. I don't think it's like really that great. I think it'd be way better with a few tweaks. With that in mind, mileage may vary. Maybe you love your job gauge, what it does for you. Power to you. Don't let me bring you down. I just don't think that this is really worth getting traits for. While Gundam type, enemy melee damage plus 35%. Gundam type is a very available word tag, powerful tertiary, activates a ton of traits, this one included. 35% melee damage bonus, really good for this level of suit. Yeah, that's actually really, really good. And the shield throw, B plus power, A pierce. It's a yeet. These are bog standard, excellent for melee, as it gives you a very powerful, rapid response, ranged EX skill, and physical melee, very, very well worked with the battle formula for these kinds of skills. Excellent. Works for me. All right. All right, next up, Atlas Gundam. When armor's 80% or less, EX skill power boosted by 30%. Okay. Problem is, this does require you to get hit. Before, when we had the cost system in effect, this wouldn't have been that bad. You could have just spawned with a few extra suits, gone over cost, spawned with a 70% armor, activate this right off the rip. However, as you need to take damage now to get to 80% or less armor, less viable. When armor is 70% or less, enemy EX skill damage plus 35%. At the end of the day, these two traits together, very, very powerful. That's 65% EX skill damage bonus on a 4-star pick ticket suit. However, as we no longer have the cost system, actually activating both of these traits requires time, setup, and honestly, like, you're just delaying a fight for no real reason. There's better ways to get that kind of damage output. Hey, Delta, doing pretty good, man. How about you? All right. Atlas Torso. With power attribute, enemy or EX skill CD reduced by 20%, and while amphibious, revive with 80% armor or 60% armor one time. That's even worse. So, power attribute, much like I've said before, very easy to get, very easy to activate, cool beans. EX skill cooldown reduced by 20%. That's kind of on the lower end, but for a 4-star pick ticket suit, cool beans. That's actually relatively high. However, while amphibious, revive with 60% armor one time. Amphibious is a very, very difficult tag to get your hands on. 2 reasons. 1, it's just not on a lot of parts. And 2, it doesn't really activate much. I guess 3, it's not on any good parts to boot. With all of that in mind, you're probably not going to want to run amphibious. So that second trait is effectively a wash on that regard. And reviving with 60% armor one time, I've said this a dozen times, and I'll say it again. If you're dying in content where you need this revive to make it, you should change your approach. It's pretty much the way it goes. The first trait, I don't like that power attribute restriction, but the EX skill cooldown is good for a 4-star pick ticket of this value, or pick ticket suit of this value. Atlas was just not really a good suit on release, and they really haven't fixed it with this so far. Atlas Gundam Arm, Stream Slash, B plus Pierce, B plus Power. That sounds like a bog standard melee EX skill. In other words, very easy to whiff. That's going to be a no from me, dog. Alright. Sub-leg Flight Form. Activate your sub-leg's flight form, unleash a series of kicking combo attacks, reduce enemy gun plus melee defense by 19%, A plus Pierce, B plus Power. Now, I feel like this was one of those skills that was just not great. Feel free to correct me, but I'm pretty sure this was a bad showing of an EX skill in terms of whiffability and other stuff. So, on paper looks good, in practice not so much. Beam Saber for the Atlas. With power attribute, initial EX skill charge boosted by 20%. I've already talked about the power attribute. The initial EX skill charge, 20%. As far as 4-star pick ticket suits go, this is the highest modifier for them, so that's great. After 20 seconds pass, EX skill cooldown reduced by 20%. This does require you to be fighting something for longer than 20 seconds. In the lower end of content, early, mid-game, this is going to happen often. Cool. Once you get kind of later on, fights are very, very fast. 20 seconds is typically over time limit for how long it takes for you to clear stuff. And there's better activatable traits, but not bad, I guess. Well, good early, bad late. Railgun for the Atlas. Physical ranged weapon reload speed boosted by 20%. So as long as your ranged weapon uses physical ammo, so you're not using a beam rifle, you're not using a beam SMG, or you're using something that fires physical ammo, you get a 20% reload boost. See what I mentioned before, though? Typically, reloads take anywhere from 2 to 5 seconds. Outliers take a little longer sometimes. 20%, yeah, it's negligible. That's like at the max value of 5 seconds, max value, that's like 1 second less, so 4 seconds at the end of the day. That really should not be the make or break. While Federation, enemy all damage plus 40%. That's a healthy second trait right there for what this suit is. 40% all damage boost. Unfortunately, the first trait's kind of... I don't know if I'd invest in this. At least the weapon itself looks pretty cool. I like that tri-gun look. The Triforce. Alright. Assault Rifle. With power attribute, shooting damage output boosted by 35. Flat number, it's a wash. When armor is 60% or more, job gauge increase boosted by 40%. I've already talked about the job gauge. 60% armor or more is very easy to, keep activated. Just don't get hit. But that first trait's just... nah. And lastly, the Blade Shield. Shield Bash. Unleash a combo with the shield on your arm. Melee attack down 19%. B plus Pierce, B plus Power. On paper, looks like a good skill. In practice, much like the other EX skill that the suit has, I am pretty sure this is one of those very easy to whiff things. I wouldn't trust it with a 10-foot pole for investment. I'd have to see the animation, obviously, but I'm pretty sure. All right. Let's take a look at the moon. We're almost at the end. The Moon Gundam head. With technique attribute, enemy shooting power reduced by 30%. Okay. I have the same complaints with technique as I do power attribute. It's literally the same thing, just different area on the rock, paper, scissors scale. Shooting power reduction of 30% is not amazing, not bad, but honestly, This does require you to know your enemy is going to be a shooting-based machine, and this only affects the suit this is equipped onto, so you can't put this on one of your secondary suits and hope it affects your primary suit. No, dice only affects that suit, the suit it's on. While Gundam type boosts funnel uptime by 60%. Now, normally I would go into a big old tirade about how funnels are garbage and this doesn't fix the problem. However, the Moon Gundam is very unique in that the funnels on this suit are melee based. They don't suffer the same drawbacks that beam funnels do. This actually slaps. 60% uptime is an insane amount of extra damage that these can do. However, that first trait, Okay. Torso. Isn't the Atlas a high mobility shooter, not melee? What's with the melee EX skills? Hey man, your guess is as good as anyone's, really. Oh no, hiccups. Okay. Moon Gundam Torso. Outfighter job, buff EX skill time up 22%. So all this really means is any buff that you have, it's just getting 22% extra slapped onto its activation time. Honestly, I say this almost every video, I swear. But if your buffs are running out, you should probably change the approach. Typically, buffs are lasting anywhere from like 25 to 45 seconds, if not longer. You should be able to wrap up a fight by then. Note, for players that are just starting, players that don't have extremely powerful suits, obviously different case. But in general, you're looking at anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute early on for a fight. 22% buff EX skill time up really isn't going to do much in that regard. You could do better with traits. With technique attribute, buff EX skill effect up 35%. So much like I said, this game just uses flat addition. So if you had melee attack plus 19%, buff EX skill effect up 35%, you're literally just adding the two numbers together, 54%. That's the new value. Cool. However, it does require technique attribute, and you are saddled with that first trait. Mileage may vary. Arms. Butterfly Edge. Emit a beam saber from the melee weapon on your arm and give it a yeet. A pierce, B plus power. I am pretty sure this is just a straight yeet skill. There's no actual animation involved with attacking or anything. It's just spawn throw. However, I'm not sure. On paper, it looks great. It sounds great. Really depends on the animation involved. This is one of those skills where you do a few swings and then you throw it. But if you do just throw it right away, excellent. Legs. When armor is 70% or less, EX skill cooldown reduced by 20%. I've already talked about the armor being low, so we'll pass. EX skill cooldown reduced by 20%. Nice. While pro tag, 33% chance not to recoil. If you remember much earlier, I talked about super armor. This is it. 33%, 1 in 3 chance you're not going to recoil from a hit. 1 in 3 chance you're going to get super armor. Requires pro tag. Honestly, I think there's better uses of your trait slots than that. But again, you could aim for 100%, no recoil to make sure that you never stagger and you don't have to worry about being chained by an enemy. But yeah, just don't let them get to you. 70% or less, and that I don't really like the trait combo on this. All right, backpack. This is the big one. I was really hoping to see what they did with this. Psychoplate, D pierce, A minus power. So this, I think, is just a straight power upgrade for this part, going from like B or B plus up to A minus. This already slapped extremely hard. This upgrade is going to be nothing but a boon for it. Actually, on that note, I think I have enough to just immediately do it right now. Yeah, I do. Give me a second here. There you go. That should tell you all you need to know about the Moon Gundam backpack. Moving on. Beam Tomahawk for the Moon. With technique attribute, enemy melee power reduced 30%. I've already talked about this, like, it was with the shot before. You gotta know that your enemy is going to be running melee. You gotta be technique. There's a lot of requirements for this to really make it shine, and even then, 30% really isn't that big of a demerit. With technique attribute, EX skill cooldown reduced by 20%. I've already talked about this exact combination of stuff before. Just, instead of power, instead of technique. And lastly, the beam rifle. When armor 70% or less, EX skill power boosted by 30%. Okay. You do require to get hit. Talked about how that's not great. While for space, all enemy cooldown time up 23%. This is a little funky. The way that this actually works is it only applies for the suit that has this equipped, as long as you're locked onto something. It's really weird at the end of the day. 23%, very healthy value. However, for space, I don't know if it's worth actually getting the 4 space tag. I don't like the 4 line of tags. I think they can just be better. The main issue is we don't have a way to select the actual map types that we're playing on. Due to that, while for space, you're not getting the maximum value out of that word tag most of the time, is it really worth running it? That's up to you to figure out with your build and everything else, but just food for thought. Okay. And lastly, the sword Impulse. If you guys couldn't tell, I am kind of speeding through this. It's getting late. I'm hungry. Dinner's on the table. And I just kind of want to get this going, especially considering we've gone over the important stuff already. With technique attribute, recover 10 armor gradually. Garbage. 10 armor is nothing. This part alone has 1200 armor. It would take 120 ticks to heal this part up to full. Not really worth it, because this is just one part out of 8, and this part doesn't have the most armor in a frame anyways. When armor is 70% or more, revive with 50% armor one time. So this is effectively, you cannot be instantly killed, is what this is saying. If you have more than 70% armor, if something kills you, you will revive. I don't like this combination of traits. Garbage. In my opinion, anyways, you know? Maybe someone runs like a 15 revive setup. I don't know. Torso. Outfighter job, EX skill piercing boosted by 22%. We've talked about EX skill piercing before. 26% chance of attacks penetrating super armor. We've talked about that before. Very interesting combination here. You get super armor pen and EX skill pen. I don't like the combination though. I don't think these two traits together are really necessary, but... Arms. With twin blade category equipped, melee power boosted by 25%. Lots of good twin blades in this game. It's a very powerful weapon type. 25% melee power boost is also nice to see. While for base, enemy melee damage plus 40%. I've already talked about the 4 line of tags. This falls into the exact same bracket. We just don't have really good control of what map we're playing. This really won't shine. Legs. When melee attack is over 7,000, EX skill cooldown reduced by 15%. Very easy to get your melee attack over 7k. That's a rounding error. The 15% EX skill cooldown, not the highest that we have for this bracket of parts, but still good. With technique attribute, EX skill cooldown reduced by a further 15%. I've already talked about the technique attribute, kind of how I feel about all that. Not bad. 30% though for one part is really on the low end. We can kind of consolidate that to like one trait on higher end parts. So depends on what you have available. Backpack, Excalibur, D Pierce, B plus power. I'd have to see the animation on that, but I'm pretty sure that's one of the ones that falls under the easy to whiff category. So, all right, and the coupled dual blade, while Gundam type initial EX skill charge boosted by 12%. Gundam type accessible, available on a ton of parts. The 12% initial skill charge, not the highest we know of. Like we can get 20% on these bracket of parts, goes up to 30% on the limited stuff. 12%, not bad, not great. While close combat, melee power boosted by 30%. Close combat super accessible on a ton of parts across the board, and the 30% melee power. Not bad. Interesting combo. All right, let's take a look at the big ol' uncoupled sword. So this counts as a blade, I believe, in the game. Outfighter job, strong melee crit rate boosted by 17%. Crit is a waste in this game. Just don't even bother with it. I really hope they rebalance that at some point. 50% chance to prevent Vernier consumption when stepping. Honestly, no. Both of those traits are a wash. And lastly, the mobile shield. Hey, look, another shield throw. A- pierce, B- power. Typically, we want to see B or B plus power on our shield throws. The higher, the better, obviously. B-, not the worst. But considering what else is available in the 4-star bracket for this kind of stuff, we can do better. If you really, really like the sword impulse, though, you can absolutely use this shield. It'll still do a significant amount of damage with A- pierce and B- power. But if you're looking for like what's the best bang I can get for my buck, you can do better than this. All right. So with that, we've gone over all the new suits, the new content, the alterations, all the fun stuff. I think we done here, gang. Thank God. I'm hungry. So, with that, I'm going to wrap up and head out for tonight. As always, guys, thanks for coming around, tuning in, hanging out, chatting, all that fun stuff. I will probably see you guys in like a week from now for some kind of weird like pseudo emergency stream. Should be noted, I will not be here at my setup for the 24th, the 25th, the 26th, and the majority of the 27th. So if anything crazy drops on those days, well, technically I'm here on the 24th, not the other days. With that in mind, if something crazy drops and I don't make a stream or something for it, it's because I ain't here and I don't have the hardware to actually do a stream. Just letting y'all know now. Anyways, peace out, guys. I hope you have some horror saved up for the coming slaughter we're about to get, because it's Christmas right into New Year. Peace out. I'll see you in the next one.